The Great Escape Unlimited author, Fire Tea copy. When the bedroom becomes a playground, how do you survive? The dormitory building at 8 o'clock at night, the nightlife belonging to the university has just begun. Suddenly, the lights went out. All universities around the world are plunged into darkness. Ding 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 ding. Dear classmates, welcome to Dorm Survival Game, and the happy dormitory life begins. Blood flowed from the sink, the bed tent turned into a different dimension, the zombies slammed into the bedroom door, and countless pairs of peeping eyes appeared on the balcony. Water shortage, food shortage, extreme environment, survival crisis. Student notes, the supreme rule of dorm survival: first, the living cannot leave the dormitory. Second, please guard your bedroom. Third, please protect your roommate. Fourth, the global dormitory survival ranking is updated every weekend. Please make efforts to rush into the double first class, 985, 211, and strive to be the world's top. When she heard the strange singing, Tang Xinju was unpacking the daily necessities with a toothbrush in her mouth. Congratulations, students, what you are holding now will become your innate ability. Tang Xinju looked at the toilet in her hand and fell silent. The bedroom is my home. Unlimited story flow. Sand sculpture. Brain hole. Heroine content tags. Horror. Infinite stream. Shuang Wen upgrade. Stream search keywords. Protagonist, Tang Xinju. Supporting role, roommates. Others. One sentence introduction. The bedroom is my home. Love and care depends on everyone. Intention. The bedroom is my home. Love and care depends on everyone. VIP medal. Tang Xinju is a third-year student plagued by nightmares. A survival game covers universities around the world, and her nightmares become reality. In order to survive, under the leadership of Tang Xinju, 4 female college students who were trapped in the dormitory started one terrifying trial after another, overcoming water shortage and food shortage, extreme environment, zombie siege, survival crisis, and grow together by helping each other, to solve one puzzle after another to find the ultimate truth. The world view of the works is novel, the conception is ingenious and the writing is smooth, and the characters are vivid and interesting. It is a story novel with the theme of adventure and escalation. It is humorous and witty in tension and excitement. It shows the beautiful friendship between girls in a dangerous situation. It is a good article worth reading. Do you find school life boring? Do you find dorm life boring? Beijing time at 8 p.m., a large living area, girls' dormitory building. Looking out from the balcony window of the bedroom, silence and darkness enveloped the surroundings. Street lights, all the lights in the dormitory building, and even the lights in the distant teaching building area were all extinguished, as if the whole world was nothing but darkness. From common sense, this scene cannot appear in the university dormitory area at 8 p.m. on the first day of school. But this anti-logical scenario is real, at this moment. Tang Xinju stood in front of the window, the phone became the only light source, at this moment it was flashing with fluorescent light, buzzing and vibrating. Dialogue boxes with red characters on a black background pop up from the screen one after another, and bright red traces ooze from the edge of the screen, like a hideous smile. Welcome to the bedroom survival game. The happy bedroom life begins. 15 minutes ago. This small 4-person dormitory is as usual, because it is the first day of school, the atmosphere in the dormitory is not very high. Because a roommate's flight was delayed, he hasn't come back yet, there are only 3 people in the dormitory. The shrill laughter from other bedrooms sounded from time to time outside the corridor, making the room quieter. In the aisle where the 4 beds are barely separated, there are several full bags, which are the daily necessities they just purchased. Ah, I don't want to start school. Under the number 1 bed near the door, a whimper rose, and the short-haired girl with thick black-rimmed glasses slumped on the table, unable to love. Guo Guo is a staunch school-weary person. From the week before the start of school, he has been wailing in the dormitory group, denouncing the boringness of the education system. Never talk nonsense. How can I find a job if I don't go to school? How can I make money if I don't look for a job? Bed number 2 near the balcony, a pair of white and slender legs stretched out, and then a graceful figure, with a straight swan neck supporting a delicate face. The words spit out rudely, "If I were your parents, I would send you to the construction site to move bricks, and let you know what a good life is." The two beds were next to each other. Guo Guo could see the alluring face as soon as he looked up, and rolled his eyes where he couldn't see. "Nonsense, you are the school flower. The school day starts, the love letters received can block the sewers, but of course we don't understand how boring college life is for us ordinary people," she said sourly. "If I can't find a job after graduation, I will write an autobiography titled 'What Does It Feel Like to Be a Schoolgirl and My Neighbor?'" The school flower of the finance department of a university for 3 consecutive years, Zheng Wangqing shook her head proudly, threw her black hair on her back, and climbed down the stairs with toiletries. "Then you can thank me well then." "Yes, I can't hear you." Guo Guo was so lonely that she was so angry that she turned her head upside down. When she turned her head, she saw another roommate who was unpacking shopping bags. She suddenly seemed to have found the backbone, Tang Xinju. "Look at her, I'm about to die of anger." Hearing the shouting, the girl who was silently unpacking the shopping bag raised her eyelids and glanced at the air perfunctorily. "Yes, it's too much. Guo Guo, you are perfunctory." She moved her mouth to complain, but she looked at Tang Xinju, who was gentle and quiet, and seemed to have a good temper, but did not dare to speak. Not only because she did not dare to owe Tang Xinju, but also because Tang Xinju was obviously tired and impatient today. It also makes the girl's already thin body look thinner and looks very weak. Of course, only the big-chested and brainless Zheng Wangqing believed that Guo Guo would not be deceived again. Sure enough, Zheng Wangqing roared loudly, "Isn't I so tired after seeing Xinju? It's good to reply to you. Don't disturb her." "Guo Guo, sister, can you look in the mirror and see how much you have double standards?" At this time, Zheng Wangqing had proudly walked to the door of the bedroom, and opened the door. "I'm going to take a bath, you leave a door for me." "Hey, why is there no light in this corridor?" From her point of view, the corridor lights were all turned off at some point, and the farther away, the darker it became. The corridor is long and narrow, so it looks very scary. If Guo Guo stood here, the screams could directly overturn the roof. But Zheng Wangqing watched it for a few seconds, but she didn't feel anything wrong, and she was about to step out after raising her legs. "Wait!" Someone suddenly stopped behind her. It was Tang Xinju. Tang Xinju was dismantling a toothbrush. Without looking up, her voice was gentle, "Be careful, it's too dark outside." "Oh good." Zheng Wangqing agreed and stretched her legs into the darkness. Behind her, the bedroom door slowly closed with a long creaking sound. Hearing this voice, Tang Xinju suddenly put down his toothbrush, rubbed the center of his eyebrows, and his brows wrinkled unconsciously. To a certain extent, Guo Guo guessed right, Tang Xinju was indeed very tired. Not because of school, but a nightmare. She hasn't slept well in a week. It is not uncommon for Tang Xinju to be haunted by nightmares. But this time the situation is more serious. It even affected her real state. Just now Guo Guo and Zheng Wangqing were arguing, but she didn't hear a word, only vague noises and rustling whispers, and a tingling pain from the temple spread out, making it difficult to concentrate. These feelings are certainly not enough for outsiders. After adjusting in place for a while, Tang Xinju walked to the sink next to the balcony and turned on the faucet. In the mirror above the wash basin, a face belonging to a girl was reflected. The girl in the mirror is wearing a clean and refreshing single ponytail, but under the focus of the light, the fair skin looks a bit too cold and white. With a slender melon seed face, and the blood on his lips is also very pale, at first glance the whole person looks like a capital malnutrition. Tang Xinju had no idea about his deceptive face, but looking at the pair of black eyes in the mirror, some scenes in the nightmare suddenly flashed in Tang Xinju's mind. The endless night, the thick black mist. Without waiting for a deep memory, her roommate's muttering brought her back to reality. Thanks for not having a private bathroom in our dormitory, at least I can catch my breath during the half-hour of Zheng Wangqing's bath. Guo Guo complained a lot, glanced at Tang Xinju, and rolled her eyes. Hey, while the eldest miss is away, how about we play a game of dice yen? Mrs. Guo Guo's nickname for Zheng Wangqing, used to secretly complain. Everyone in the dormitory was nicknamed by her, but Tang Xinju didn't know what her nickname was. Tang Xinju lowered her eyes for a few seconds, squeezed out the toothpaste, and put the toothbrush in her mouth. If Wangqing comes back and sees it, you will definitely have a fight again. Zheng Wangqing is a staunch atheist, and is extremely repulsive of all monsters, ghosts, snakes, and gods, not to mention games like Pen Fairy and Die Fairy. Unfortunately, Guo Guo is a heavy metaphysics lover, and his desk is full of details of Zhuyi, tarot world and various divination compasses. He is keen on urban legends and games. As expected, when I mentioned this, Guo Guo rolled his eyes. She is a rotten tree that cannot be carved. But you are different. I see you, and I think your bones are strange and have a fate with metaphysics. Seeing that Tang Xinju had been automatically ignored, and even started to open shopping bags, Guo Guo jumped up anxiously, shook his head and persuaded, "It's just to celebrate our promotion to the 3rd year of hard work, would you like to play with me?" 6-line divination, constellation horoscope, and summoning spirits and ghosts are also fine. As soon as Tang Xinju raised his eyes, the other party immediately shrank his neck, and grieved and died. "It's not that you don't know that I'm timid and afraid to play by yourself. Except for the eldest lady in the dormitory, you are the only one who is not afraid of these things, I." Tang Xinju shook his head helplessly, just about to speak, but his eyes accidentally passed behind Guo Guo and suddenly froze. The roommate was still talking incessantly, but in Tang Xinju's senses, there was no sound coming from the closed mouth. Her eyes were fixed on the window. On the balcony, she saw a huge yellow eyeball that took up the entire window. What is this? Hallucinations from nightmares? Scrambled to fill the entire window. He 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 he. The buzzing and murmurs were overwhelming. Tang Xinju took a deep breath, gritted her back teeth, and did not scream or retreat. 3 years of illness, a week of nightmares. When the terrifying monster in the dream appeared in reality, she was much calmer than she thought. It only took a second for Tang Xinju to quickly take out her mobile phone and quickly took several photos of the eyeballs on the glass window. She had long anticipated that one day she would experience hallucinations. When this happens, the first thing to do is to maintain a stable mental state. Get back to the real by suggesting to yourself that everything in front of you is an illusion. The photo has been taken, and the next step is to check it. Tang Xinju opens the mobile phone album and recites it in his heart, "This is just an illusion." Seeing empty photos, the brain will realize that everything is false, and then open the self-recovery mechanism. The album opens, and as the picture pops up, a bunch of eyeballs appear on the phone screen. At the moment when they pop up, I don't know if it is an illusion, and even a daze can be captured from these eyeballs. Seeing the mental pollution beyond cognition, the first reaction is to take a picture with a mobile phone. What is this operation? Tang Xinju also frowned, her symptoms suddenly worsened, and even looking at the photos would have hallucinations? No, she has to contact the doctor first. Opening the phone address book, Tang Xinju dialed a number, and at the same time deliberately ignored the eyeballs outside the window, neither avoiding nor looking directly, to prevent more hallucinations. Seems to have noticed Tang Xinju's neglect, the eyeballs outside the window seemed to be angry. They began to vibrate, hitting the squeezed glass window one after another, making a dull crashing sound. Hey? Who's shooting the window? Guo Guo was tearing open a bag of snacks and turned around. Tang Xinju was stunned, but it was because of Guo Guo's words. If the eyeball hitting the window is her hallucination, how can the roommate hear the sound? A sharp sense of ominousness suddenly crossed my mind. Tang Xinju immediately took action to stop Guo Guo from turning back, but it was too late. Ahaha! With a shrill scream that was enough to overturn the skull, the lights in the bedroom flickered precariously twice, and then went out in an instant. The surroundings were plunged into darkness. Tang Shinju ignored the phone that showed the busy tone, and immediately went to pull Guo Guo, but when she reached out her hand did not touch anyone. Her roommate was already slumped on the ground. Damn, what did I just see? Ju God, where are you? I'm so scared. Oh. After realizing the power outage, Guo Guo jumped up to look for someone, grabbed Tang Shinju howling with confidence. However, after a few seconds, a shrill laughter interrupted her wailing. He. The laughter seemed to come from outside the balcony. The window was closed, but it seemed to be in the wilderness, so that people could clearly hear the echo. The most bizarre thing is that with the power outage in the bedroom, the densely packed huge eyeballs outside the balcony window also disappeared, leaving only darkness, as if the entire bedroom area lost power at the same time. Do you find school life boring? Do you find dorm life boring? The voice was like a child, humming a cheerful and eerie tune. Tang Shinju Station is closest to the balcony, and you can even faintly hear the exclamations and screams outside. The cheerful voice is still chanting, in response to your wishes, to meet your requirements. An exciting game is coming, do you want to participate? During the singing, Tang Shinju heard his own heartbeat, like a drum, showing the truth of everything in front of him. This is a recurring vision of her haunting nightmares. Yes, or, yes. Yay, so rise. Children giggling in the night sky threw a multiple choice question without giving a negative option. The humming is haunting and creepy. Welcome to bedroom survival game. Happy bedroom life begins. Ah, my phone. Guo Guo screamed, and with the sound of the phone being dropped, she pointed down tremblingly, and saw that the screen of the phone was crowded with distorted dialogue boxes, and the bright red text was exactly the same as the content of the nursery rhyme humming. Tang Shinju took out her cell phone. Same. She reacted immediately, first pulling Guo Guo up from the ground, then picking up the nearest chair beside her and holding it against the floor-to-ceiling window leading to the balcony to prevent the eyeball monster from suddenly appearing again. Then she picked up another chair and walked to the bedroom door. Where are you going? Guo Guo had completely fallen into a state of paralysis and fear, curled up in front of the table and dared not do anything. When she saw Tang Shinju walking away, she became very nervous. Tang Shinju said, "Wonking is still outside. If the power goes out to the entire bedroom area, the public bathroom is no exception. Imagine a power outage in the bathroom halfway through the shower, and the sound of terrifying nursery rhymes outside, definitely more impacted than those in the bedroom." It seemed to correspond to Tang Shinju's words. As soon as she finished speaking, the humming outside the bedroom suddenly stopped. The cheerful child's voice sounded again, but this time it was clearer, as if it was in everyone's ears. The good students have entered the game, the bad students are still playing outside, the educators can't wait, the test papers have been opened. Important reminder, the game is about to start, please all students outside the dormitory go back to the dormitory immediately. Educators don't like bad boys who are playful and will punish them, and when the game officially starts, the students who have not returned to the dormitory will be punished the most. The child's voice stopped abruptly, the humming tune disappeared, and the environment returned to silence. Educator? Exam paper? Game? Tang Shinju keeps all the keywords she hears in her heart. At this moment, there was a muffled sound, and the two of them in the bedroom were shocked and looked up. The bedroom door that had been hidden was closed by itself. Tang Shinju stepped over a few steps and stretched out his hand, but no matter how much he pressed the door handle, the bedroom door would not move. Like being locked from the outside. Guo Guo's terrified voice came, "Shinju, look at your phone." On the screen of the mobile phone, the dialog box disappeared at some point, leaving only a bright black countdown. Beginning of the game, 240 minutes. 240 minutes is 4 hours, now it is 8 p.m., then 4 hours later it will be midnight. As her thoughts turned, Tang Xinju drew out the information given by the strange child's voice. They are in the rules of a so-called bedroom survival game, and after 4 hours, which is 0, the game will officially start. According to Tong Sheng, it seems that only people in the bedroom can enter the game. So what will be the punishment for those who do not return to the dormitory? Of course, this may just be a big prank, a realistic trick show. But if it's true... Tang Xinju quietly stared at the door. She was exceptionally calm amid the screams of her roommate. The bedroom door couldn't be opened, so she tried to bump it with her knees and the chair, but found that the narrow door of the single room, which was not very solid, didn't even tremble at all. Although she looks weak, she knows how strong she is. Under normal conditions, the door frame cannot even shake without shaking. If the child's voice is real, it means that now, the rules of the game do not allow people who are already in the bedroom to go out. I am afraid that the door can only be opened when the people outside come back. The noise of screams and footsteps in the corridor has not stopped since the child's voice disappeared. Tang Xinju gave up going out and chose to clap on the door and shout to the outside, "Can you hear me? Are you outside, Wonking?" After shouting several times in a row, a response really came from outside the door. Following the footsteps of Deng Deng Deng, the response also went from far to near. Tang Xinju heard that it was the voice of a roommate. The door was knocked a few times. Zheng Wangqing came back, and her usually energetic voice was a little flustered. "Open the door quickly. We can't open the door by ourselves." Tang Xinju answered truthfully, but before he could continue, the door in front of him creaked. The bedroom door opened by itself. Zheng Wangqing squeezed in, accompanied by water vapor, and complained loudly, "This prank is too much, the power is cut off halfway through the bath, and I don't even have time to get my toiletries back. Come back." It was pitch dark, and if I hadn't heard Xinju's voice just now, I wouldn't have been able to find the dorm room. "Tang Xinju, do you really think this is a prank?" Zheng Wangqing was taken aback. "What else?" She has already vigorously groped for the mobile phone in her seat, and aggressively wanted to call to complain, "I don't know what the dormitory security is doing, isn't the school censored? Such excessive trickery can also be allowed." Zheng Wangqing didn't finish her words, in addition to the striking countdown on the mobile phone, but also because the phone could not be dialed out. "The phone has no signal." Tang Xinju stretched out his hand to pull the door, and the door in front of him had automatically closed again the moment Zheng Wangqing entered, returning to a state of motionless. She sighed, "Can pranks block our cell phone signal?" After a few seconds of silence, Zheng Wangqing rushed over to open her computer in disbelief, but the laptop, which was clearly fully charged, could not be turned on. "Guo Guo said with a trembling voice, "It's useless. I just tried to turn on the lamp, but there was no response. There is no light source in the bedroom, and the dark environment prolongs anxiety and fear infinitely." Zheng Wangqing stopped talking and could only look at Tang Xinju for help. She knew that Tang Xinju must be the most calm and rational person at this time, and her analysis was also the most reliable. But there was no light in the bedroom, so he couldn't find the other party's position at all. She stomped her feet irritably, angrily, "Whatever you think, anyway, this bedroom escape game can't be real." After she finished speaking, she groped to the balcony and tried to break the window. "Don't we share a balcony with the next bedroom? Go out and ask the next door." Guo Guo's voice cracked, "You look like a cannon fodder in a horror movie, we are on the 6th floor. Tang Xinju, hurry up and persuade this idiot. In case something happened on the balcony." Guo Guo was horrified. Before she got up to stop her, she saw Zheng Wangqing's movements suddenly stop. In the dark night, the girl turned her head inexplicably and looked at the wall opposite the sink. "There is a door." Guo Guo just wanted to talk nonsense. "You can call the balcony floor-to-ceiling window, but you can call it the door," but in a flash, she realized that Zheng Wangqing was definitely not referring to the balcony window. A gust of wind blew past, and Tang Shinju strode here as if unobstructed by his sight. Before coming over, just in case, she took out a long, rigid object from the shopping bag on the ground. Although she didn't know what it was, at least she could defend herself at a critical time. When she came to the balcony, Tang Shinju immediately understood what Zhang Wangqing meant. Guo Guo also trembled and touched, and the three stood together, looking at the wall opposite the sink. In this wall, there is a literal door. With the weak light of the mobile phone, only the general outline can be seen. There is nothing special about it. However, their bedroom is a private bathroom, this wall has always been empty, and there has never been a door. The roommate who insisted on atheism was silent, but the roommate who was addicted to metaphysics was about to cry, "Prank! Can you make a door?" The answer speaks for itself. Tang Shinju took a deep breath and settled down, exclude all the impossible, and no matter how unbelievable the rest is, it must be the truth. I tend to, the sound is real, the game is real, and the rules are real. What's more, these scenes had vaguely appeared in her dreams. Tang Shinju didn't say the latter sentence, now the first element is to calm down and avoid further panic. She looked at the door that suddenly appeared in front of her. Unlike the balcony window and bedroom door, this door does not make her feel dangerous at present. So Tang Shinju took the two people who were already stupid behind, and pushed open the door in front of him with the rectangular tool in his hand. Under the light of the mobile phone screen, it can be vaguely seen that this is a toilet, and there is a shower area with complete facilities on the left side. Zhang Wangqing whispered from behind, "My toiletries are on the wall." But her toiletry tools are clearly in the public bathroom, why are they here? After a few seconds of reaction, Tang Shinju realized, this game gave them a private bathroom? Anything like this? The three of them closed the door, returned to the safe area in the middle of the bedroom, and stood under Tang Shinju's number 4 bed. No one spoke for a while. Guo and Zheng were too shocked to speak, while Tang Shinju frowned and thought. The situation is too bizarre, and there is very little information available. What is this game? What does the game want them to do? They know nothing. Faced with the fear of the unknown, but trapped in a dark bedroom, and can only passively wait, this feeling is not pleasant. In addition, there is a bad feeling lingering in my heart. Tang Shinju always feels that he seems to have forgotten something. I don't know how long it took. Guo Guo, who had been in a state of being frightened to the point of being half out of his body, reluctantly calmed down a little, and suddenly slapped his thigh. By the way, Zhang Yu just told me half an hour ago, saying she's already out of the subway station, and she's going to school soon. At the same time, Tang Shinju also remembered what she had forgotten, their dormitory is not full now, because the fourth roommate, Zhang Yu, who was delayed by the flight, has not returned. The other two obviously thought the same thing. Guo Ji fought a cold war and said incoherently, the voice said that there will be punishment for not returning to the dormitory, right? Then if Zhang Yu is also there in the bedroom area, does she have to come back quickly? Tang Shinju looked out of the balcony window again, the deep darkness seemed to be a little more intense. The countdown on the phone has unknowingly swam for 30 minutes, the minute hand swam to 8:30, and suddenly stopped. At the same moment, the child's voice sounded again without warning, "Dear classmates, 30 minutes have passed, let me see, which bad students have not returned to the dormitory? Hey, there are many ah." The tone of the crisp voice changed, and it suddenly became hoarse and sharp. Educators hate disobedient bad children the most, punishment and danger will come early, the bedroom is the only safe area. He, but who can guarantee that it is absolutely safe? After all, Tong Yin chuckled added, only the last classmates alive can successfully enter the game. Ding, the first rule has been unlocked, please guard your bedroom. The voice in the air disappeared again, but this time it didn't take long, and there were more tragic screams and chaotic footsteps outside the bedroom door. Help! Something's chasing me. The 6th floor where Tang Shinju is located belongs to the Department of Finance, and many of the dormitories are filled with classmates and acquaintances. She quickly distinguished the familiar voice from the noise. Grasping Tang Xinju's arm tightly, Guo Guo also whispered, "Is the person who called just now Sun Jia from the next bedroom? She's still outside, isn't she? Being punished?" Tang Xinju frowned. The sound in the corridor quickly disappeared, but for the people in the bedroom, the silence at the moment was even more frightening. Boom! The sudden knock on the door made the tense people in the bedroom almost jump up. Tang Xinju picked up the roommate with weak legs and asked loudly, "Who is it?" "It's me." A familiar female voice sounded outside the door, "I'm Zhang Yu, I'm back." It was a roommate. The other two were relieved. Zheng Wangqing was about to open the door in a hurry, but Tang Xinju grabbed her wrist. Zheng Wangqing didn't understand. "There is danger outside, we have to open the door quickly." Tang Xinju didn't let go, and walked to the door of the bedroom. "Zhang Yu, isn't your flight from Chengdu late? Why did you arrive so early?" The voice outside the door paused for a second and replied, "I'm on my way very fast, besides, aren't you all worried about me?" In the darkness, the voice outside the door was soft, and it was indeed Zhang Yu's voice. But Zheng Wangqing and Guo Guo in the door shuddered at the same time. Zheng Wangqing also withdrew the hand that was going to open the door like an electric shock. Because they knew that Zhang Yu's flight was from abroad and had nothing to do with Chengdu, but when Tang Xinju said this, the voice outside the door did not respond. "Outside the door, is it really Zhang Yu? It's so dark outside, I'm so scared. Open the door quickly and let me in. Who dares to open the door?" The room was silent. Tang Xinju thought about it, and said softly, "The bedroom door seems to be broken, we can't open it." When Wangqing came back, the door opened automatically. "You stood at the door, give it a try and see if it opens by itself." Since there is no response from the bedroom door now, it can only mean that Zhang Yu outside the door is not of the same kind as them. "Don't you want to open the door for me?" This time, the voice of Zhang Yu became very gloomy, much louder than before. Tang Xinju, who was standing in front of the door, could hear it clearly. The gloomy voice almost came in along the resonance of the door panel. It was like the owner of the voice was leaning on the door tightly, the whole head is buried in the crack of the door. She could even feel that there was some kind of sticky thing flowing in the crack of the door. Fortunately, the bedroom was dark at this time, and nothing could be seen. Ju passed on the spot. Tang Xinju pretended not to feel anything, went back to the two roommates, and motioned them not to make a sound. Zheng Wangqing always listened to her words. Guo Guo was so frightened that her soul went out of her body and she had no objection, and the three began to pretend to be dead. The people in the room are nervous, for fear that the door will be forcibly scratched open in the next second. Time became extraordinarily long in the passing of seconds, and after an unknown amount of time, the sound of scratching the door finally disappeared. The three of them breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Tang Xinju touched his back, only to find that he was soaked in sweat. She can only gamble, betting on guessing the rules of the game, gambling that the dormitory is both a restraint and a protection, betting that things outside can't get in. Fortunately, the bet won. At this moment, in the corridor outside the door, a hoarse squeak sounded. This is the sound of opening the door. Raising her head, Tang Xinju realized that this was the door of the opposite bedroom. As expected, a cautious voice sounded, "Is Tao Xin? Great, you finally come back." The voice came to a screeching halt as if seeing something terribly terrifying, and never again. The door to the next bedroom could only be heard being slowly pushed open and then slammed shut as the other roommates screamed in horror. Everything was silent. Guo Guo whimpered from behind and slipped down uncontrollably. No one dared to discuss aloud, nor to guess what was happening in the bedroom opposite the door. An unknown amount of time passed, and when the clear childish voice was caught off guard, the three of them shuddered. Ding ding ding, ding ding ding, dang dang dang. Did the classmates return to the dormitory obediently? Hey, there are a lot of people missing. Oh, I seem to have forgotten to tell the classmates that the outside of the dormitory is very dangerous, don't open the door easily. Tong Yin sounded regretful, but Tang Xinju noticed a trace of schadenfreude and malice that could not be concealed. In any case, I failed to protect my dormitory, resulting in the early elimination of roommates. This is not a student that educators like. Educators believe that roommates in a dormitory must help each other, so as to achieve better results in daily assessments and competitions, and help your school become a key university. When they find that the number of dormitories is not enough, you will get angry, lower your rating, cancel your reward. Ding! The second rule has been unlocked, please protect your roommates. At the same time as this voice sounded, Tang Xinju looked at the mobile phone, and the time just closed to 9 o'clock. It has just been half an hour since the last child's voice appeared. And the last time it rang for the first time at 8 o'clock, it was another half an hour. Does this voice appear every half hour, announcing a rule every time? Then the game officially starts from midnight, and this sound will appear again. Tang Xinju's thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door, and a familiar voice came from outside the door, "Open the door, I'm Zhang Yu, let me in." Again? She didn't hesitate. "Zhang Yu, look at the top of the door frame, we have made an appointment to put the spare key, do you have any spare keys?" "Outside the door." "Okay, you lied, there is no key, come and open the door." Tang Xinju's face was expressionless, but her gentle tone was very indifferent at the moment. "You forgot, we never leave spare keys in our dormitory." "This is not Zhang Yu." After a long 30 minutes, the sound outside the door disappeared again. Then, ding 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 dang ding 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 ding, "Did you return to the dormitory?" "Ah!" Zhang Wangqing finally couldn't take it anymore. She ran to the balcony window and shouted angrily, "Enough! Let us out! I don't want to play your game." The boy's voice was still giggling maliciously, as if the protests of the students were very insignificant to it, and even worthless. In the laughter, another roommate Guo Guo had already started crying and reciting the Great Compassion Mantra. Facing the messy environment, Tang Xinju patted his head, which was starting to hurt again, sighed, grabbed the long strip tool beside him, and slapped at the table, "Quiet!" The loud drink and the deafening impact made the bedroom instantly quiet. Not only that, the two roommates even felt their ears buzzing. Guo Guo was not surprised, but Zhang Wangqing was stunned. She wondered how Tang Xinju, who had always been ill, could burst out with such great power. "Listen to what it says, listen carefully." Tang Xinju raised her head and stared at the darkness outside the window. The strange child's voice laughed for a while, and then she did not pretend to say anything, and simply announced the third rule: "From the beginning of the game, the dormitory has been completely blocked, and the living can no longer leave the dormitory." "This is already known." Guo Guo shivered. "What is no longer able to leave? It doesn't say when the game will end. It doesn't even say the game will end." This thought flashed through Tang Xinju's mind without saying it. At this time, there was another mechanical knock on the door. As time passed, the three finally got used to the law of weird children's voices announce the rules ghost knocking on the door. Until the next refresh, as if there is no memory of the previous failure, knock on the door again. Repeated again and again, several people are no longer so afraid of ghost knocking on the door. After all, practice has proved that as long as they don't open the door on their own initiative, nothing outside can come in. Tang Xinju records the rules brought by the child's voice one by one in his heart. Article 4, when reaching 0, only if there are no less than 2 people alive in one dormitory can successfully enter the game, otherwise it will be regarded as a failure and all will be eliminated. Article 5, good students will be rewarded, bad students will not. Article 6, only the students who happen to be in the dormitory when the game first came are good students who meet the requirements of educator. Tang Xinju frowned. Divide a rule that can be set into 2, so that they will get less information. This strange childish voice is quite a chicken thief. In this way, This unidentified child voice seems to hold natural malice towards them. On the surface, the rules are reminded again and again, but in fact, it is like squeezing toothpaste intermittently, and every time it happens to be one step behind. If Tang Xinju hadn't been here, Zheng Wangqing and Guo Guo would have been the first to suffer. At this time, the countdown on the mobile phone has only 60 minutes left, and the hour hand reaches 11 o'clock exactly. Several people who were already numb were unaware of knocking on the door, and even after getting used to the darkness, they began to study ways to communicate with the outside world. But whether it was knocking on the wall or yelling, there was no response from the bedrooms on both sides of the next door. The three of them had an inexplicable feeling that it was a familiar campus outside the window, but it seemed like they were on an isolated island. There is only boundless and empty sea water on all sides, and no one can come to save them. This sense of helplessness culminated in the announcement of the last rule: students who haven't stayed on campus before the start of the game at 0 o'clock and have not returned to the dormitory will be wiped out. Tong Yin seemed to have accidentally missed his mouth, and changed with a smile. Word, will be eliminated and disqualified from the game. Guo Ji exclaimed in a low voice, "Look, the phone screen has changed again." Below the scarlet countdown, there are 4 more circles, 3 of which are flashing with white light spots, and 1 is still dimmed without light. Tang Xinju quickly realized, these light spots symbolize the 4 roommates in the bedroom. Those who are not in the bedroom will not light up. There are 3 people in the dormitory now, so there are only 3 light spots on. As the thoughts sounded at the same time, there was a numb hurried knock on the door. "Let me in." Guo Guo shouted in despair, "Knock, knock, knock on your throat and no one will open the door." There was silence outside the door for a moment, and then he shouted furiously, "Guo Guo, UXX. After I go in, I chop you up. Open the door for me." Tang Xinju raised her head instantly. Guo Guo and Zheng Wangqing were also stunned. "Fog Go. How come this monster has a new line?" Guo Guo jumped up and hid behind Tang Xinju, and raised his voice to test Tang Xinju's method. "Cough cough, Zhang Yu, didn't you go to see your boyfriend? Why did you come back so early?" Tang Xinju opened her up. "Have you ever thought of a possibility? Maybe this time it's not a monster." Perhaps in response to her voice, the outside voice came in again, "See you ma. When did I ever have a boyfriend? For 20 years when I was single. The ghost has met several and chased me all the way." The outside was very irritable, and the voice was accompanied by a bit of crying. "I can ask you to hurry up, now there is black fog outside, and I will die if they catch up." "This is Zhang Yu, it's Zhang Yu, right?" Guo Guo was both excited and nervous. Zheng Wangqing was even more impulsive and wanted to open the door directly, but Tang Xinju blocked it with the long tool in his hand and blocked it back. Zheng Wangqing was in a hurry this time. For the first time, she spoke loudly to Tang Xinju, "You also said that it was Zhang Yu outside, why didn't you let the door open? What should I do if it's too late?" Tang Xinju deliberately ignored the labor pains in her temples and spoke very fast, "You forgot what the pattern was just now? There will be a ghost knock on the door every half an hour, no exception. It means it's been at our door all the time. So, if the real Zhang Yu is standing outside the door this time, where is the original ghost?" Tang Xinju didn't lower her voice. It could be heard inside and outside the bedroom. The air was instantly filled with silence, and even the knocking on the door stopped. After a while, Zhang Yu's voice trembled, "Damn, don't scare me, people will die if they are scared." As if finding something, the sound stopped abruptly. After a few seconds, Zhang Yu said with difficulty, "I feel it, as if something is lying on my back." Guo Guo gasped for breath and softened silently. Zheng Wangqing tugged at the person's collar to prevent it to the end, hesitantly looked at Tang Xinju, "Then do we still have to open the door?" Guo Guo was about to collapse. "What do you think? They open the door now, and Zhang Yu is not the only one who comes in. Can we wait until the next time the rules are announced?" She suddenly had a flash of inspiration. "Heart, you said that every time that terrifying child sounds, the ghost outside the door will refresh once. When the ghost is not around, they open the door for Zhang Yu, isn't it safe? Tang Xinju denied it without hesitation. The next time Tong Ian appears, it will be exactly 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, the game starts, and everyone who has not returned to the bedroom will be obliterated. Who can guarantee that at that moment, they will open the door faster, or Zhang Yu will be obliterated faster? The atmosphere returned to the anxious starting point, and several people were silent. Guo Guo couldn't help but start wiping her tears. Is there no way to do it? Ugh. Zheng Wangqing drinks her, don't cry. What's the use of crying now? Zhang Yu patted the door even more irritably. Zheng Wangqing, you are not allowed to scold Guo Guo, I'm dying, what's the use of shouting? Guo Guo cried and broke the jar, open the door, I want to fight that ghost to the death. Everyone die together. After a whimper, Tang Xinju's unusually calm voice was particularly awake in the air. Who said you were going to die? Crying and irritability will only consume attention, accelerate the collapse of reason, and cannot solve any problems. This is the truth that Tang Xinju knows very well. But the reason is only the truth, because in extraordinary circumstances, people are often difficult to control themselves, which is also an instinct. 3 years ago, the first debilitating strange disease accompanied by nightmares came to her. Tang Xinju was forced to combine principles with practice, and learn how to restrain herself without being driven crazy. Instinct, keep calm. There is no unsolvable nightmare in the world, and there is no unsolvable reality. She spoke softly, images of these days' nightmares flashing in her mind. Can it also correspond to the current situation? My thoughts were immersed in the suppressed memories, and the thick darkness in the dream and the grotesque monsters hidden in the darkness came to my face, but in addition, Tang Xinju vaguely remembered that there is a rule in the dream. For a moment, Tang Xinju opened her eyes. If this rule can also apply to the game at this time, she should know how to solve the current situation. From an outsider's point of view, Tang Xinju was motionless, and after a moment of silence, he suddenly said, "You can open the door." Roommate. Zheng Wangqing stopped shouting, Zhang Yu stopped talking, and even Guo Guo stopped crying. No one could believe that Tang Xinju was so reckless. Are you sure? In the darkness, the girl's voice was calm and decisive. Yes. Zhang Yu must come in, and the door must be opened. Outside the door, Zhang Yu sniffed, trying not to sound too trembling. Then what about the thing on my back? What should I do? She can't look back now, let alone what will happen when the door opens. Tang Xinju replied intimately, the things behind you will jump out, attack me who opened the door first, and then take the opportunity to get into the bedroom. Guo Guo, how can you say such a terrible thing so calmly? Where Guo Guo couldn't see, Tang Xinju clenched the tool in his hand, and pressed his fingertips on the packaging bag wrapped around the object. From these hours, the thing is about 50 centimeters long, with a hard handle and what appears to be a thick bowl at the tip. Think of it as a little hammer to use it in hand. Guo Guo, who was behind her, swallowed her saliva and said, God Ju, are you sure there is a way to let Zhang Yu in? If it fails, we are all over. Tang Xinju shook his head, no, if it fails, I will be the only one who will end up with a high probability. You still have a chance. Remember what the child's voice said? Failure to protect the dormitory will lead to roommates eliminated, but did not say that the entire dormitory will be eliminated together. Before she finished speaking, her palm sank, and the bedroom door was forced to open. The figure of Zhang Yu trembled slightly outside the door. Don't turn around. Different from the vast darkness outside the balcony, the darkness in the corridor seems to be covered with a layer of flowing and spreading fog, and it seems that there are countless things hidden in it. The moment she rushed over, she raised her hand and slammed it down without hesitation. With an inhuman scream, the plastic rod and rubber tip hit a sticky mass and hit. A chill ran up her arm quickly, Tang Xinju didn't have the energy to be distracted, she waved her arm harder to shove it down, at the same time facing Zhang Yuda, who hadn't reacted yet, shout out, "Come in." The roommate slammed into the door as if waking up from a dream. The white things in the dark screamed and were about to jump up. The packaging bag outside the long tool was torn, and in the terrifying sound, the rubber tip was still firmly pressed on the white creature that was not human at first glance, and it was not overturned. Tang Xinju was also stunned for a moment. She would have withdrawn quickly as soon as she succeeded, but as soon as she pulled it out, the small hammer in her hand did not move at all. Instead, he dragged the white monster out by 2 centimeters. White monster! Tang Xinju! She immediately threw the tool into the darkness, but the enraged monster was faster, and it had already rushed up in an instant, with thin limbs and head sticking out from the white twisted flesh. There are no facial features on the head, only a mouth, like a hole, biting towards Tang Xinju's head. The rapidly approaching monster head was reflected in the shrunken pupils, surrounded by gloomy cold and darkness. For a moment, Tang Xinju seemed to be still in a nightmare. But once it touches it, it can also attack the other party at the moment of being attacked. With the sharp surge of adrenaline and staring at familiar monsters, Tang Xinju couldn't tell whether it was a reality or a dream, and completely relied on the experience and instinctive actions he had trained in the nightmare. Afraid of light, loud noise, can tear it apart with great force and throw it back into darkness. The white head was briefly thrown off, and soon climbed the tool and ran up to Tang Xinju's arm again. The blood vessels on the wrist bulged out due to too much force. "Be careful!" The roommate's scream made Tang Xinju shudder. This is not her dream of being alone, this is reality. Something flashed in her mind, and she blurted out, "Shout! Shout! Quick! Perhaps life and death will speed up people's reactions." In less than half a second, Guo Guo's screams enough to overturn the roof rose from the ground, followed by Zheng Wangqing and Zhang Yu. Without a word, he started roaring in his throat. Although they didn't understand why Tang Xinju suddenly made the request, they didn't care so much in an emergency. The white monster is afraid of light and loud noises. There is no light at this time, but there are 3 female college students in their early 20s who have been hitting ghosts for 4 hours. If the sound can be transformed into a weapon, they will create a loud noise that is enough to level the entire bedroom area within 3 seconds. Tang Xinju clearly felt the changes in the monster, and its power was weakened. With a full stab, the monster's body was torn and pierced, and it seemed to begin to feel fear. Its limbs dropped to the ground and wanted to retreat to the darkness, but like Tang Xinju before, no matter how much it was drawn, it couldn't be drawn out. Monster! Tang Xinju discovered that the rubber end of this small hammer seemed to be able to things. The harder she used, the stronger the end sucked, because the initial force was too much when she hit the monster. Now neither side can pull out. Before the mind could automatically figure out what it was, the monster had already realized the problem and began to change its body structure to try to swallow the rubber on it. How could Tang Xinju succeed? I stabbed it down even harder. I didn't know how many times I stabbed it in a row. The sticky feeling suddenly disappeared, and the rubber tip hit the ground. The monster was stabbed. The cracked white monster immediately split into countless arms-shaped objects. Tang Xinju immediately shrank back into the door as soon as he loosened his hand. The hand seemed to want to grab it. The slammed door shuts back the outside world. Boom! The collision left a dull sound on the bedroom door. Then the second and third, the familiar knock on the door slowly sounded. At the same time, Tang Xinju's voice appeared outside the door. "Open the door, it's so dark outside, I'm so scared." Tang Xinju slowed down for a few seconds, stepped forward and raised her hand, and knocked on the door 3 times clearly. After the violent action, her voice was still gentle and soft. "Your father is in there, step back." The horror atmosphere of was greatly dispelled. Wuo! Guo Guo was the first to move. She swooped and hugged Tang Xinju's slender body, crying with snot and tears, "Sister Ju, Dad Ju, God Ju, from now on you will be my half-father. Zhang Yu reluctantly picked her up. I am the one who was rescued by Shinju, let me cry first, okay. Zhang Wangqing couldn't get in, so she turned around anxiously, don't try too hard, Tang Shinju is not in good health, you broke her. Guo's eyes were hazy with tears, miss, open your titanium alloy double eyelids and see, my father just tore a ghost. Tear it up with his own hands. If this can be called frailty, are they seriously disabled? Tang Shinju broke free from her roommate who was recognizing her relatives. Just now she was stuck with all her strength for too long. Now her arms are sore and cold, and her whole body is a little out of strength. She needs a good rest. Zhang Yu is delicate and keen, and immediately went to help her find a medical kit. The remaining two leaned against her, and after recovering from the state of being overly frightened, they asked the doubts in their hearts, how do you know what to do with that monster outside? Tang Shinju did not answer in detail, but simply said, I only know that for many low-level ghosts, the moment they touch us is the moment we can attack them. There is a bedroom door to protect it, as long as you seize the opportunity to hold it for 2 seconds. It's just that she didn't expect that the attacking weapon in her hand almost pulled her into the water. Thinking of this, Tang Shinju couldn't help but raise the small hammer in his hand, trying to use the light of the mobile phone to find out what treasure this is, but the numbers on the mobile phone screen are reflected more quickly. Fundus. 10, 9, 8, 7. 0 o'clock, the 4-hour countdown reaches 0, and the screen falls into darkness. Ding 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 ding, the melodious child's voice surrounds everyone's ears. Put your school bag on your back and come to the dormitory, where a happy university life begins. Unity and fraternity, helping each other, each student must abide by the dormitory rules. Play hard, take exams hard, and good grades can make you survive longer. Credits system, clear rewards and punishments, educators are waiting for you in the best universities. At the end of the song, the child's voice became farther and farther, as if it rose to a very high air, and the voice became hazy and melodious. Time is precious, cherish the moment, the bedroom survival game begins. The voice disappeared completely, the screen of the mobile phone turned white, and the interface was still unfamiliar. Tang Shinju saw his name on it. Name, Tang Shinju. Bedroom 606. Schools, 3 universities. Credits, 0. Below the basic information column, there are several small information boxes, namely dorm status, exam/competition record, power item, body information. 4 columns. Tang Shinju was about to take a closer look when she saw the column of power items suddenly flashed. Congratulations, you got a reward for your good performance before the game started. The things in your hand at this moment will become your innate ability. The thing in your hand? Tang Shinju looked down, and at this moment, the lights in the bedroom suddenly brightened, and she could see her innate ability clearly through the light of day. The hard plastic rod, the bowl-shaped end of the orangered rubber leather, and the brand new tool about 50 centimeters long, presenting a face that does not appear often, but is known to all men, women, and children. A real toilet. Tang Shinju. She is now reading the file again. Is it too late? The author has something to say. Monster, I split. Tang Shinju, I also cracked. At this moment, Tang Shinju finally understood why when she smashed the monster, she would be sucked and unable to break free. Because she smashed the toilet. Pai Zizi was pressed to dry the air, and the rubber mouth naturally sucked the opponent firmly. If he had used a toilet at that time, the monster would have almost been flushed directly. Wait! Where did the toilet flush come from? Searching for the thin memory, Tang Shinju finally remembered that this was a supermarket event, and they bought laundry detergent as a gift. Then by chance, Tang Shinju took it out of the shopping bag to make a tool, and by the way turned over a monster, and now it has become her innate ability. After being speechless for a while, Tang Shinju cheered up and checked the introduction of the ability. Objectability, toilet squeeze minion. You have a handy toilet that is happy with its owner. Using it, your action efficiency will be greatly improved. What strange ability is this? Tang Xinzhu was still a little unable to accept the reality, and the impact of being tied to the toilet even exceeded the game itself. At this time, the other three roommates had also finished checking the content on their mobile phones, and looked up with different expressions. In any case, Guo Guo said dryly, "Fortunately, the four of us have successfully entered the game alive. Is it temporarily safe now?" "Is it safe? No one can be sure. Although the lights in the bedroom have been restored, it is still dark outside the balcony, the door can't be opened, and the mobile phone still has no signal." No, now they don't even have a mobile phone in the true sense. Now this can only be regarded as a special game machine that is bound to bedroom survival game. By the way, have you seen this? Guo Guo turned on the screen and pointed to the personal information above. The name of the bedroom is correct, but why does it show that the school is 3 universities? Let's say, isn't it a big one? What do the credits at the bottom mean? The above information probably has nothing to do with our reality. Tang Xinzhu speculated, it should show our identity and attributes in the game. The three immediately understood. Guo Guo slapped her thigh, that is to say, now we have become players in the game? No wonder I see any other abilities below. Hey, what is this? Guo Guo stared at the message box that popped up, and said word by word, "The good boy who was waiting in the dormitory when the game came, the educator sent you a random gift bag in order to express his appreciation. I've drawn a novice shield." Tang Xinzhu saw the introduction displayed there. The novice shield, passively appears, can resist a ghost attack. When it makes a crisp sound of glass breaking, it is recommended that you run away quickly. It is a very practical buff, especially for the timid Guo Guo. It is definitely a life-saving medicine. When the power went out at 8 o'clock, Zhang Yu didn't come back. Zheng Wangqing happened to go out to take a bath. There were only Tang Xinzhu and Guo Guo in the bedroom, so only they got this gift package. At the same time, Tang Xinzhu opened her own message reminder, and the prompt box popped up, "Congratulations, you got a random food pack." There was a sound of plastic bags falling, and a bottle of water and 2 bags of bread appeared out of thin air on the table in front of her. Guo Guo was disappointed. "It's a skill, what's the use of eating it?" Tang Xinzhu was stunned for a moment, then realized something, and her expression became solemn. She turned her head and saw that Zhang Yu also had the same thoughtful expression. The two exchanged their gazes, and Tang Xinzhu took a deep breath. "No. It might be useful. Think about it, if we can't leave the dormitory, how can we eat 3 meals a day?" Zheng Wangqing and Guo Guo faced this question head-on, with a sluggish expression like being struck by lightning, and after a few seconds of silence, they came to a painful answer: "Then we may starve to death." In the bedroom. None of them have the habit of hoarding food, even though they have just finished shopping. The snacks and water together can't last a few days. Tang Xinzhu's temples jumped. "I should have realized this when I saw the bathroom. It is impossible for the game to give them warmth for no reason. If the students are blocked in the space, at least the problem of ecological circulation must be solved. The sudden extra toilet is a clear indication." Everyone thought for a while. Guo Guo was paralyzed on the table with despair written on her face. "If I don't want to be killed by ghosts or starved to death, is there any way I can live to the end?" "Zhang Yu, then you must first analyze the purpose of this game." "Guo Guo, it wants me to die." "Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu is right." Tang Xinzhu had taken this time to quickly browse the phone, extracted some key information, and stretched his eyebrows slightly. For a game, it contains the player's upgrade system, and reward mechanism means that it is not designed to kill them, but to let us clear the level. She considered for a moment and continued, "If I guess correctly, credits is a crucial value, perhaps equivalent to our clearance certificate, and school represents our current game level, like the classification of bronze, silver, gold, etc. In fact, at the official start of the game, the few words chanted by Tong Yin are probably hints to the rules of the game. It's just that they can't fully analyze it yet and need a little verification. Zheng Wangqing was taken aback for a while. In this case, what level are we now? Corresponding to the 3 universities, Tang Xinju thought about it, bronze for beginners. After all, there are 2, 1 and even 1 university above the 3, which will be divided into double first class, 211, 985. Seeing his roommate's expression of doubt about life, Tang Xinju smiled. Of course, this is just a preliminary guess, the game should not be so abnormal. Then, she clicked on the bedroom status under her personal information. This should be equivalent to our taskbar, can you see it? I saw a sentence lined up on the phone screen, dorm room civilization code, 1. Unity and fraternity 2. Mutual help. Tang Xinju's finger lightly tapped on the code, and an unfamiliar female voice appeared out of thin air. Would you like to conduct a civilized code test? Guo Guo was so frightened by the sudden voice that she almost fell over. She covered her head for a while and was afraid, but fortunately, she wasn't a bit blind when she was looking at her phone, otherwise she might have died now. Tang Xinju said softly, can I learn about the test? After a second, the female voice actually replied, Civilization code test rules, there is no time limit for this test. After passing the test, you will become an official student, get the qualification for the test, and more dormitory-related functions. What if I fail? The female voice just mechanically repeated what she just said, without revealing more information. Tang Xinju put down her phone and looked at her roommate. This is the taskbar. Civilization code test. Zheng Wangqing said to herself, how to test? Use pen and paper? Is there a question bank? Guo Guo couldn't say enough, are you stupid? Think with your heels and know that it is definitely not as simple as it is literally. She turned her head and asked Tang Xinju, God Ju, can we not do this task? Tang Xinju answered very succinctly, yes, we can do nothing and wait in the dormitory. As long as there is no accident, we should not die within a few days. Just, in a few days? Everyone was silent. Guo Guo weighed her snack reserves and gave up. I don't choose, I'll leave it to you. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. At least she still has a shield. Zheng Wangqing and Zhang Yu are the worst, their hands are empty. But perhaps because Tang Xinju was there, after listening to the analysis, he was less afraid. Zhang Yu said cautiously, I think, if you can hide for a while, you can't hide for a lifetime. Avoiding will only consume everyone's energy and make us very passive. Zheng Wangqing also agrees, I still have 3 papers, 1 topic and 1 competition, waiting to be held. I'd rather go to the dead of the ghost fish here. Unanimous opinion, Tang Xinju nodded, that's the decision. Do I need to rest for a night before starting the test tomorrow? Guo Guo cried and said, I don't know, but I can't sleep tonight anyway. As soon as she closes her eyes now, there is either a knock on the door or the yellow eyeballs that covered the balcony window before. Only by being close to her roommate can she feel a little safe. Or, let's start directly. Zhang Yu tentatively asked Tang Xinju, the voice just said that only by passing the test can we become full-fledged students, which means that we are not yet full-fledged students. Will this affect some of our permissions, such as not being able to turn on all functions? Seeing Tang Xinju nodding, Zheng Wangqing clapped her hands heavily, then what are you waiting for? Everyone turned to look at Zheng Wangqing, only to find that she had found the broom and mop in the bedroom at some point, and her tall body stood in the middle, like a murderous door god. Come on! Guo Guo, miss, your image. You have won the image of the school flower of University A for 3 consecutive years. It's really irresponsible, there's no way this kind of thing will happen again, go ahead. Guo Guo ignored her sick roommate, pulled out all the utility knife, nail clippers, hair dryer, and snacks, which were divided into 4 parts, and stuffed them into the arms of the 3. It's all fate, we don't know how long we can live, everyone protect yourselves. Tang Xinju watched them make trouble with tears and laughter, which was also a way to vent her emotions. In the face of such huge changes and shocks, not breaking down is already considered a strong heart. Zhang Yu sighed. From hearing the child's voice to the time she rushed back to the bedroom, she was tired and hungry, but had no appetite or sleepiness. More importantly, if you don't work hard now, when you wake up tomorrow morning, maybe no one but Tang Xinju will have the courage. Everyone digested their emotions in their own way. After a while, when Zheng Wangqing and Guo Guo calmed down, Zhang Yu regained some strength, and Tang Xinju pressed the screen of the phone. Tapped the desktop. Actually, there are two other things I think I should mention. First, I got an ability. She considered her words for a few seconds. A rather special ability. Roommate. Guo Guo opened his mouth and said, "You didn't say it sooner, Mr. Wuko." What is? Her mouth was suddenly covered. Tang Xinju pressed her index finger to her mouth, turned her head solemnly to the door. Shh. There is a voice outside the door. The next second, everyone heard the sound clearly. It was as if something was dragging a heavy object, rubbing the ground in the corridor. Are people walking? This possibility was quickly ruled out. Because that voice sounded extremely heavy. When they walked out of their dormitory, they seemed to scrape the dormitory door inadvertently, and the harsh sizzle made the hair stand on end. Several people didn't dare to move at all. After some time, the sound finally disappeared. Tang Xinju touched his forehead and found that a layer of cold sweat had unknowingly seeped on it. It is a sense of danger. Although she hadn't met, she was already sure that the thing walking outside this time was much more terrifying than the monster knocking on the door before the game started. The game is a reminder of progress, or a warning staying in the bedroom is not completely safe. Get ready, we'll enter the test right away. She lowered her voice. To enter the test, 4 people need to click and confirm on the phone at the same time. After clicking, the nervous roommates observed the surroundings for the first time, and did not find any changes. The silent waiting was a bit difficult. Guo Guo suddenly remembered the topic that had just not been completed. By the way, you haven't said it yet, what is your ability? Just as Tang Xinju was about to speak, a mechanical female voice suddenly sounded in her ears. The dormitory civilization test begins. It is detected that the number of people in the dormitory is complete, and extra basic points are obtained. The test paper has been opened. Please keep in mind the rules of civilization, and work hard to pass the level. In the darkness, Tang Xinju slowly opened her eyes. She was a little groggy, as if she was awakened by something in her sleep. I glanced vaguely. The quilt was well covered, and the surroundings were quiet, so I planned to turn over and continue to sleep. Suddenly, she frowned and noticed a voice beside the bed. It was footsteps, as if someone was pacing by the head of her bed. A dark shadow could be faintly seen from the corner of the eye, and the hair occasionally rubbed against the top of the bed tent, making a rustling sound. Have your roommate slept yet? Tang Xinju wanted to turn her head to ask, but suddenly realized something and stopped. And NBSP, in an instant, Tang Xinju was sober. The memory returns to the cage, the dormitory survival game, the boundless darkness, the monster knocking on the door. The memory stops at the moment the test starts, and when you wake up, you will be here again. Lying on the bed, her sleepiness has been swept away. There are only 2 possibilities now. Either everything is a dream and she can continue to sleep, or she is in the test and must be careful. Tang Xinju chose the latter without hesitation. She slowed her breathing, squinted her eyes and fell asleep, observing the movements of the figures beside the bed. The voice was unfamiliar and did not belong to any of the roommates. Tang Xinju pretended to be asleep and didn't answer. The girl asked several times, was silent for a long time, giggled strangely, and walked away along the bed. Hearing the voice, she seemed to walk to the right. Tang Xinju judged the bed position. She was the 4th bed by the door, the first bed was on the right, and the first bed belonged to Guo Guo. The footsteps stopped again. Tang Xinju couldn't hear what the girl said, but a few seconds later, she heard the sound of glass breaking. Guo Guo's protective shield is broken. The shield is triggered, which means Guo Guo has been attacked by ghosts. When the sound of shattering sounded, Tang Xinju was sure that she heard an unreal whimper. It seems that Guo Guo has also woken up. After the shield was broken, the long-haired black shadow by the bed did not stay. Day, 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 the footsteps turned and walked towards bed number 3 directly opposite Tang Xinju. Bed number 3 is Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu does not have any power items, and the ghosts may attack at the very beginning. Tang Xinju was in a daze. Taking advantage of the darkness, she found her mobile phone on the bed, and next to the mobile phone lay the toilet that was just bound. Tang Xinju felt very complicated when she thought of lying on the same bed as the toilet. But now it's too late to think too much. She grabbed all the props in her hands, concentrated and was ready to get up at any time. The black shadow stopped in front of Zhang Yu's bed again. This time Tang Xinju could see much more clearly. Close to the bed tent. As for the lower part of the body into the darkness, it is impossible to see how long the legs and feet are. Tang Xinju couldn't hear what the long-haired black shadow said, and could only judge by the pause time. It was probably attacking Zhang Yu. In a sudden change of mind, the bed net suddenly shook, a heavy feeling came from her limbs, and all the energy she had stored was gone. She realized that something was wrong, but she felt the familiar feeling of drowsiness before falling asleep. Already tangled up. Giggle. The girl's shrill laughter sounded in the bedroom. Tang Xinju tried her best not to close her eyes completely, and stared at the movement outside the bed tent. "Where's my stuff, my stuff?" The table and chairs were torn apart frantically, causing the bed to shake. The girl's voice was very flustered. "It's gone, where did I put it?" "Ah!" In the hysterical screams, all sounds disappeared, and the small bedroom returned to silence. On the bed, Tang Xinju held her breath. Her blurred vision was only a dead black, no light or figure could be seen. She continued to fight against the sleepiness imposed on her body without giving up, but suddenly noticed something was wrong. In the bedroom, was it so dark just now? Where is the girl? Perceiving something, her eyes slowly moved upwards on the top of the bed tent above her head. There was a pale face facing her. The bald white eyeballs stared at her, and the corners of the mouth cracked into a strange arc. Help me find what I'm missing." "You'll help, we're good roommates after all, right?" The darkness I just saw was not night, but its entire body was stuck to the bed tent, covering all sight. The next second, everything fell into darkness. When she opened her eyes again, Tang Xinju subconsciously picked up the toilet and flicked it up, but the figure beside the bed and the face above her head had disappeared without a trace, and the bedroom lamps illuminated the room like daytime. Turn on the phone, and the screen shows the current time, 8 o'clock in the morning. Tang Xinju noticed that the body information flashed for a while, clicked it, and a 1 sign appeared on the status bar where the green power grid was used to indicate the health of the body. Look at the sequelae of ghosts. SAN value is polluted. Health 1. I think of the frontal crit in the dark, but the SAN value has dropped a little, which is already very good. Tang Xinju raised his head. Beds number 1 and number 2 made a rustling sound. Zhang Wangqing in bed number 2 directly lifted the quilt, her voice surprised. "Hey? Why did we fall asleep?" Guo Guo of bed number 1 tightly clutched the quilt, only sticking out a bleak head. My protective shield is gone, One woke up in the middle of the night and lost the shield, while the other obviously slept until dawn. The luck comparison is clear at a glance. Of course, there may be others with the worst luck. Confirming that the two were fine, Tang Xinju immediately went to bed number 4 to see, and the moment she stepped on the ladder, her heart sank. Bed number 4 was empty, and there was no Zhang Yu. Knowing that Zhang Yu was missing, the other two lost their minds to adjust their state and got out of bed quickly. In the bathroom, balcony, except for the bedroom door that could not be opened, they even looked in the closet, but there was no sign of Zhang Yu. What happened last night? How did the female ghost attack Zhang Yu? All I can remember is, as another person who had been attacked by a female ghost, Guo endured fearful memories. When I was half asleep, as if I heard someone calling my name, I opened my eyes, and then I saw a long hair hanging in front of the bed. At that time, her mind was blank, she was so scared that she even forgot to scream, and the voice was still asking, "Can you do me a favor?" Looking at the white eyeballs in the long hair, Guo suddenly felt that her body was out of her control, and she opened her mouth to answer. And just before the sound of the shield being triggered also sounded. Then I was stunned, and it went away. After a few seconds, I suddenly felt very sleepy. As soon as I opened my eyes, it was now. Guo was a little incoherent, and her hands were shaking irregularly. Why is Zhang Yu gone? Nothing will happen to her? Shinju, I'm very scared now. Guo's state is not normal. Tang Shinju saw this, moved the other party's mobile phone, and sure enough, on her body information interface, she saw the mark that the san value was damaged, the spirit is greatly polluted, the body is healthy. Guo's health power level has dropped by a whole, and it's just about to leave the green range and enter the yellow line. I also saw the female ghost Hedon. Tang Shinju lost 1 point, but Guo doubled it tenfold. So mental damage also varies from person to person. Guo looked at Tang Shinju's attribute value, and cried out, "Why am I so unlucky?" Don't worry, since this is a test, there must be tasks that we need to do, we have to figure out the situation. As if responding to Tang Shinju's words, a familiar mechanical female voice resounded in the air. Xiaohong is a lively and lovely college girl. She has a sincere boyfriend, a united and loving roommate, and lives in a harmonious and happy dormitory. But one day, Xiaohong found that she could not find something, which was very important to her. For this, she had to ask her roommates for help. She believed that helpful roommates will definitely help her fulfill her wish. As Xiaohong's roommate, you need to find the lost property during the day and put it on Xiaohong's desk. When night falls, Xiaohong will take it away. The prompt sound disappeared. Tang Shinju immediately looked at the mobile phone. The information had been converted into text, and appeared on the exam competition interface, and there were 2 tips below. 1. 8 am to 8 pm is the daytime. 2. Xiaohong loves to be neat, please don't mess up her desk. It's okay, we still have 11 hours, it shouldn't be difficult to find something in our big bedroom. Zhang Wangqing heaved a sigh of relief, rolled up her sleeves and was ready to start rummaging. But what? Guo was too lazy to fight with her, so she leaned on the table weakly. The prompt didn't say anything was missing. We'll be looking for a day if we can't find the right item, and at night the female ghost will kill you. What to do? Both of them subconsciously turned their attention to the backbone. Tang Shinju stared at the phone screen, and after a few seconds, she raised her head thoughtfully. Her voice was soft, but very clear. First, we want to determine 2 things. 1. Xiaohong is our roommate. After we find something, we will put it on her table, but where is her table? The other 2 suddenly raised their heads and realized the problem. The place they are staying now is their own dormitory, and they have lived in a 4-person dorm for 3 years. It's okay to have one more roommate for no reason. Where can I get another desk? Tang Shinju rubbed her eyebrows and continued. Second, the rules say that the time of day is from 8 am to 8 pm, but now, the display on the mobile phone is already 9 o'clock. Zhang Wangqing didn't understand, what's wrong at 9 o'clock? Tang Shinju raised her eyes. We woke up on time at 8 o'clock, but do you really feel that an hour has passed now? Let's not say an hour, it only takes a few minutes from waking up to the moment I die. There is obviously a problem with the time displayed on the phone. Signaling the roommate to be quiet, Tang Shinju counted in a low voice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the 5th second, the time jumps to 9:01. After another 5 seconds, the screen changed to 9:02. Zheng Guo held their breath and their pupils contracted. What's the situation? From this, Tang Xinju put down the phone and concluded, the flow of time in the test is about 12 times faster than the real time. From 8 am to 8 pm, on the surface, it is 12 hours, but in fact, there is only 1 hour left for their actual action. To be more precise, if you remove just 5 minutes, now there are only 55 minutes left. Guo's expression collapsed. This game is too tricky. So what can we do now? You can't be blind like a headless fly. Just like doing a question, you must first clarify the logic and entry point of the question. Tang Xinju calmed down instead. She took out a piece of paper and wrote 2 words, Xiaohong, Dormitory. Xiaohong and the dormitory are connected by a line. From the title, Xiaohong is a member of our dormitory, here are her lost items, and her desk. When night falls, she would walk around the bedroom. Guo froze and listened carefully. Tang Xinju drew a circle on the line. In this case, Xiaohong will definitely leave traces of her life in the dormitory. Maybe it's daily necessities, maybe it's other clues. Find these things, it can further decipher Xiaohong's identity information. In the questions and tips of the test, the words Xiaohong has a boyfriend and Xiaohong loves clean are mentioned. If Xiaohong's information is not important, these tips will not be given. The initial action was determined, and the 3 immediately set off for action. Because everyone knows their own things best, the 3 first searched their own beds, desks, wardrobes, and washing areas. Related. Be careful when looking for it. Tang Xinju lowered her eyes. After all, Xiaohong doesn't like her desk being messed up. Zheng Wangqing responded quickly and continued to move like a fly, but Guo was stunned for a moment, and seemed to realize something. She pursed her lips with a pale face, and carefully moved to her position to check. There was only the sound of tables and chairs moving and rummaging in the room. About 5 minutes later, a suppressed exclamation suddenly sounded from Guo. I have an extra notebook here. Guo shivered and pointed to the small bookshelf beside her desk, which was a dark red notebook with half of its cover exposed. Obviously, Guo was too scared to take it out when he found it. Only take half. Tang Xinju came over and took it out. The skin touched the cover, and she could feel the abnormally low temperature on it, which reminded her of the white monster last night, which was also cold and cold. This is the commonality of ghosts in the game. Where is it? Opening the inner page, the first page draws a crooked matchstick figure, wearing a skirt, with long hair hanging down to the thigh, with obvious features. Looks like Xiaohong herself. Tang Xinju turned to the second page, with a few lines of words scrawled on it. 9.01 I'm so nervous about going on a date, what if I don't like it? My roommate advised me to prepare well, oh they are so sweet, my roommate is the best roommate in the world. Next page. 9.02 The cosmetics I bought online have arrived. I don't know how to use it. I can only sit in front of the mirror and cry. He must be trying to make me a fool, see me laughing. Nasty bitch. I'm going to punish them. Next page. 9.03 Well, they have already paid the price, forgive them for the time being. By the way, I'm going on a date with, crossed out, tonight, I have to prepare well. My roommate said that they would help me remember things, and if I lost it, I would just ask them. Oh, they are so caring. My roommate is the best roommate in the world. After reading the last sentence, several people invariably complained in their hearts, I believe in you. Oh, no, this one seems like a real ghost. Further, the following pages are blank, and the record is interrupted. The air was silent for 2 seconds. Guo suddenly asked in a low voice, what day is today? September 4th. Then is it not today? According to the time in the diary, Xiaohong will write a new diary today. Combining the records on September 2nd, it is not difficult to infer that if Tang Xinju and the others fail to find what Xiaohong lost, they will be punished like those roommates who did not make up her before. What is the penalty? Nobody knows. Putting the notebook back where it was, Tang Xinju glanced at the time. 12 times the speed passed, and it was now 11 noon. Zheng Wangqing made a grunt in her stomach, followed by Guo Guo. Both of them looked embarrassed and looked at Tang Xinju a little overwhelmed. Tang Xinju pressed the position of her lower abdomen. I also feel very hungry, as if half a day has really passed. If it's just a few hours of thrilling last night and not eating in the morning, they can bear it, but no one can bear it after a few meals. Tang Xinju did not hesitate. Let's eat first. Zheng Wangqing gritted her teeth. You eat first, I can still support. Before she finished speaking, she saw Tang Xinju's body sway, and hurriedly rushed over to help her on the chair. Are you all right? Tang Xinju looked very thin and very malnourished at first, but at this moment her face was pale, as if the wind would disperse, and she was too weak. She raised her eyelids and whispered to reassure, It's okay, I'm just a little low blood sugar, I just fainted. Zheng Wangqing didn't listen at all, hurriedly grabbed all the snacks on her table, and opened the bag to feed the bread into Tang Xinju's mouth. Guo Guo, you are stunned and dry. Well, hurry up to get the water, you're about to faint without reading the heart formula. I'm fine, just eat something, you don't mind me. Seeing Zheng Wangqing's completely unbelieving gaze, Tang Xinju sighed helplessly, knowing that she was speaking for nothing. After all, her dignified appearance of weak Lu Fuifeng is really unconvincing. Besides, she did not feel very good just now. Check the body information, and see that there is another negative attribute above, excessive hunger. Health 3. Zheng Wangqing and Guo Guo also lost 5 and 7 health points. Guo Guo's health bar fell directly below the yellow line, changing from health to minor injury. Guo Guo wanted to cry without tears. How come my health bar drops so fast? Does anyone care about me? Tossing for a long time, Tang Xinju, who looked the weakest, was actually the least damaged. After swallowing 2 butter buns, resting for less than a minute, he shook his head and stood up. I'm fine, go ahead and continue. In order to prevent the other two from not believing, she opened identity information and stretched forward. The hunger state had disappeared, and even the influence of san value had recovered, and the health bar was directly full to 100%. The two who are still gobbling up and fighting against the negative state. Guo Guo, Godju, your appearance and physical fitness are definitely inversely proportional, right? My dear, Linde Ayu was written with you as the prototype, right? Have you seen Linde Ayu holding the toilet? Tang Xinju smiled, clapped her hands and returned to the closet. 2 Dao Blade or wardrobes are arranged at the entrance of the bedroom door, and the cabinet doors are marked with numbers 1 to 4. Perhaps in order to save the cramped length of the bedroom, the wardrobe is designed to be narrow and deep, and it is dark inside at first glance, and you need to put your head in to see the inside clearly. I didn't feel anything before, but only now I realize that these deep corners all reveal a dangerous atmosphere that is enough to brew a horror movie. Tang Xinju frowned, pressed the thought down temporarily, and concentrated on searching. After a few seconds, she suddenly thought about it and looked at the right corner of the cabinet along her intuition. Although she hasn't seen it yet, the strong premonition that suddenly appeared tells her that there is a high probability of something there. Suppressing my heart palpitations, I rummaged through my clothes a few times, and sure enough I found a cold hard metal object. When I pulled out my hand, there was already a mobile phone in my palm. What is this, a phone? You stupid, this phone is not hers in Xinju's closet, it must be the little red. How does it look so retro? The two hurried over holding the half-eaten bread, staring at each other. No wonder Zheng Wangqing couldn't recognize it. The pink flip phone with rhinestones, the style and size are all designed many years ago, and the strong sense of age is blowing. It looks like a toy if it is not really usable after opening. Tang Xinju thoughtful, it seems that our roommate Xiaohong is a little early for school. Just like the mobile phone without a lock screen in that era, the interface lights up as soon as you open the cover. There are no programs in it, just basic functions such as phone calls, text messages, and cameras. There is no network signal, but there is a communication signal. Open the address book, there are only 4 contacts in it, the mobile phone number is displayed as a mess of garbled characters, only the remarks can barely be seen clearly. Black characters on a white background, with 4 remarks arranged in sequence: Dear, my best friend Xiaolu, a counselor and a supermarket owner. Tang Shinju read the remarks one by one, raised her eyebrows, and before she could say anything, something in her hand suddenly vibrated. Ding ding ding, ding ding ding. On the screen of the mobile phone, a strange call alert appeared. Fogko, the ghost is calling. Guo Guo pulled Zheng Wangqing and ducked back, as if being overly frightened had become a conditioned reflex, and her eyes were full of fear. You won't answer, will you? At this moment, in her mind, 100 ways to die, led by the midnight bell, have emerged. But seeing Tang Shinju lowered her eyes and thought for 2 seconds, she still clicked to answer. Beep beep. Hello, hello, can you hear me? Accompanied by rapid breathing, a familiar anxious voice came from the other end of the phone. The moment they heard the call, all 3 in the bedroom opened their eyes wide, and even stopped breathing for a second. This is clearly Zhang Yu's voice. Is there? Can anyone hear me? Zhang Yu's voice was a little low, urgent and fast, sounding very urgent. Someone. Tang Shinju reacted and suppressed the series of questions that were almost blurted out. Zhang Yu was also stunned for a moment, and then ecstatic. Shinju? The phone is really on your side. Are you all in the dormitory now? How is the dormitory? I'm here. Hey, why don't you speak? It seemed that she noticed that the roommate on the other side of the phone was too quiet, and Zhang Yu, who had always been attentive, immediately responded, My original name was Zhang Zhizi, and I went to the Public Security Bureau to change my name to Zhang Yu as a freshman. The finance department was transferred to the foreign language major. The junior united you to send the scumbag who cheated me of money to Africa as a volunteer for poverty alleviation. Later, his parents called and begged you to let him go. Are these enough to prove my identity? It's really Zhang Yu, alive. Tang Shinju, enough. I'm Tang Shinju, where are you now? Is it safe? Now I'm in a phone booth next to a supermarket, surrounded by fog, and can't find my way back to my bedroom. Time is running out, I can't say too much right now. Oops, it's back. Who's back? It's the owner of the supermarket. I have to hide quickly, Zhang Yu said with fear. I can call you again after 15 minutes at the earliest. You can wait for me for 15 minutes. Do you have to wait for me? A busy tone came from the phone and hung up. Although the time was short, Zhang Yu didn't have time to say anything, but knowing that the other party was still alive, the 3 people in the bedroom were somewhat relieved. It's just a short call that brings more mysteries, and you can only ask for answers after 15 minutes. Tang Shinju let go of the fingers holding the phone, and there was a circle of blue-white marks on it, leaving a cold and cool feeling. Untouchable Realms Health 1 because of the use of goblin items? The 3 of them concentrated on their work, and in about 13 to 14 minutes, they thoroughly looked through their respective positions, and did not see any other strange things. They got together again and waited for Zhang Yu's call. Tang Shinju was still studying Xiahong's flip phone, but when she looked up, she saw 2 roommates squatting in front of her, looking like she was hesitant to say anything. Tang Shinju, just say whatever you want. Guo Guo laughed dryly. Well, Zhang Yu's scumbag ex-boyfriend almost went to Africa to become a miner. Was it really you who did it? Zheng Wangqing, didn't they all say at the time that he lied to a powerful ex-girlfriend who was retaliated and had mental problems? Tang Shinju recalled, oh, that's what I made up to divert my attention. His methods are too low to deceive the powerful. 2. In other words, the mastermind behind the scenes. Oh no, is it really you? Seeing the girl in front of her acquiesced, Guo Guo burst into tears. Chen, I only know that you are hidden, but I don't know that you are still so cruel. No wonder you dare to face the ghost. In the future, the younger brother will live by hugging your thighs. Zheng Wangqing frowned, disapproving of Guo Guo's attitude of being a mother if she had milk. You don't come here. Shinju has been weak and sick since childhood, and her thighs are not as thick as your arms. She must have been. It was because Zhang Yu was deceived that he did it as a last resort. Don't always think of relying on others. Be self-reliant, understand? Zhang Yu's phone call. Hey, resolve, I only have 5 minutes to talk now, we have to keep it short. And for some reason, it seems to be getting dark quickly. Because the flow of time is different. Tang Xinzhi replied. Then, she quickly stated the information obtained in the dormitory to Zhang Yu. The task we got is to find what Xiaohong lost. Zhang Yu gasped lightly, and then quickly said her situation. Last night I heard someone call my name and asked me to help. I got up and got out of bed involuntarily, and followed its sound. When I woke up, I was already outside, still in my hand, holding a note. Through the phone, she read out the message on the note. 50 meters outside the Suwa supermarket, upside down alley, under the street lights, remind Xiaobai not to forget the appointment at night. She sighed, this is the task Xiaohong gave me, but I found it here, and I didn't find any upside down alleys outside the supermarket. It may have to wait for the dark and fog to dissipate. See clearly. I came to the phone booth, I wanted to call you, but the phone booth indicates that it is not within the reachable area, and it will be automatically relayed to other nearby numbers. Zhang Yu's voice trembled. Fortunately I answered it's you. In the event of failure, she dare not imagine the consequences. Also, every once in a while, my health value will automatically drop. Now it has dropped more than 10 points. Tang Xinzhu understood Zhang Yu's fear. Night falls accompanied by ghosts and ghosts, but Zhang Yu has to face the terrifying environment and unknown dangers alone outside, which the people in the dormitory cannot share for her. She can only make a guess based on the existing information. In the diary, it is written that Xiaohong has a boyfriend. It seems that it may be Xiaobai. Tonight Xiaohong will go on a date with Xiaobai. Here before, she would go back to the dormitory to find the lost property, take this time to find someone to complete the task, and then hide. If you are really in danger, call the phone booth. If you can't open the bedroom door during the day, it doesn't necessarily mean you can't open it at night. She has the ability toilet shoveling soldiers, at least more self-defense than Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu hummed heavily, you must also be careful. Xiaohong is not a human being, they have natural malice towards us, and you must not use human thinking to analyze them. 5 minutes have elapsed and the call will be terminated again. The room was silent for a while, not only worried about Zhang Yu, but also worried about his own situation. It was Tang Xinzhu who got up first. The time here is 3 hours before 8 o'clock in the evening, and there are only 15 minutes left in real time. Let's hurry up and search the rest of the place. In order to save time, Tang Xinzhu simply used the temperature to judge whether there were ghosts or monsters. The small bedroom was quickly searched, but nothing was found except the notebook on Guo Guo's desk and the mobile phone in Tang Xinzhu's cabinet. Then the question is it a laptop or a mobile phone? Seeing that the deadline was approaching, the three began to analyze the current 2 items. How can you bring a notebook on a date? I think it's probably a mobile phone. Guo Guo guessed. Do you have to put only one? The rules don't say, just put them together and let Xiaohong choose. Seeing that Tang Xinzhu agreed with her idea, Zheng Wangqing scratched her head messy. I want to ask the second question, where is Xiaohong's desk? According to the test requirements, even if they find the right item, they can't find the right place. Talking about this, Tang Xinzhu's voice sank. She first looked at Guo Guo, the other party was silent, but his face became even paler. Knowing that Guo Guo had noticed something, Tang Xinzhu sighed, I think it's better to say where is Xia Hong's desk rather than where is Xia Hong's desk. Obviously, there were only 4 desks in the bedroom, neither decreasing nor increasing. They can only choose a desk and put their items on it. And the desk that was selected is Xia Hong's desk. But if that table now belongs to Xiao Hong, what is its original owner? Zheng Wangqing couldn't understand the fear in this logic, and Guo Guo was too sensitive to this fear. But it was too late to tell them in detail. Tang Xinju could only directly infer the conclusion: if you must choose one, it must have some kind of judgment condition. The selected person must have some kind of characteristic associated with Xiao Hong. She paused. This person is either me or Guo Guo. Guo Guo's cry interrupted her. It's a blood bar. While sniffing, she opened identity information. The health value above had become 20 at some point, and after a closer look, most of them were mentally damaged, san the effect of decreasing value. I'm hallucinating now, there's always a sound in my ear, and I can see black gas on my desktop. Guo Guo held back her tears and said, put things on my desk, that's the right place. After putting the things, Zheng Wangqing didn't know how to comfort her. She could only say, as long as we put the right things, we can go through the customs directly, nothing will happen. When the test is over, our health bar it will automatically recover like a heart formula. The light in the bedroom suddenly flashed, and then disappeared with Zheng Wangqing's voice, and the light went out. Tang Xinju opened her eyes. She was still lying on the bed, surrounded by thick darkness. The room was silent, and the other 2 should have regained consciousness, but no one spoke. After an unknown time, heavy footsteps suddenly sounded outside the bedroom door, and then there was a creak. The door was pushed open. My stuff, have you put what I want on the table? The voice of Little Red spun a few times at the entrance, and the voice raised strangely, oh, it seems that you have found the right place. Tang Xinju could only see a slender shadow at the door that was almost taller than the door, and she stared at the shadow. Da, da, da. The footsteps went straight to Guo Guo's bed number 1, and the shadow slowly bent over. Giggle, thank you my dear roommate for helping me get it back. No, what is this? The hoarse female voice suddenly became shrill, almost piercing the eardrums. You lie, this is not what I want. The object was swept down, the metal hit the ground, and the harsh friction of the wooden table being dragged sounded at the same time, declaring the anger of the shadow. Tang Xinju calmly grabbed the toilet, and concentrated on the shadow. The lines were exactly the same as those in the diary, and Tang Xinju even had the following words in mind in advance. Sure enough, you bastards, I want you to be punished. The body was quickly hunched because of its length, and the head turned stiffly. I want you to. Seems like she can't stand it anymore. The bed opposite suddenly shakes heavily. Zheng Wangqing's anxious voice sounded, we didn't lie to you. Oops. Tang Xinju's heart sank suddenly, but it was too late to stop him. In the dimness, Zheng Wangqing could even be seen half sitting up from the bed, her body stunned in the direction of Xiao Hong. We put everything we found on the table. Xiao Hong moved for a while, her hoarse voice was elongated, and her anger was replaced by a strange tone. Oh, is it? The slender ghost turned around and approached bed number 2 step by step, her neck stretched forward impatiently, her hair hanging in the air. Dear roommate, are you talking? The shadow was 2 meters away, but the voice appeared in my ear. Tang Xinju's throat was sore, and the fishy sweet taste came up. Dear roommate, did you hear me? At this moment, the shadow has moved to the front of the number 2 bed, and half of her body is against the curtain. She doesn't need to think about it, she knows that at this moment, the pale and hideous face is staring at Zhang Wan without blinking. Clear. Dear roommate, did you see my face? Before the pain in the eyeball erupted, Tang Xinju suddenly raised the toilet and slammed the railing of the bed. The sound of boom successfully interrupted Xia Hong's voice and attracted its attention. The footsteps turned, and they began to move towards Tang Xinju. Tang Xinju said quietly, you really want to find something to date? I think you're pretty happy that you can't find it. Xiao Hong. The ghost's movements and laughter stopped at the same time, and after a few seconds, she said coldly, of course I'm going on a date, but I can't go there without finding something, it's all your fault. Tang Xinju, what do you want to do to us? Xiao Hong clings to the bed net, her voice is greedy, either give me something, or be punished like your roommates who disappeared. Tang Xinju, Zhang Yu? What did you do to her? She will never appear again, just like your ending. Xiao Hong tilted her head, and when she spoke, something like a tongue stretched out and dragged on the gauze, making a sticky, disgusting sound. Dear roommate, why don't you open your eyes and look at me? From the moment she approached, Tang Xinju closed her eyes and used only her ears to identify the movements and positions of the other party. I keep my eyes open. Xiao Hong, oh, is that so? It rubbed on the gauze tent suspiciously, you lied. You didn't even open your eyes. I'm really open, is it too dark outside the bed canopy, you can't see clearly? Tang Xinju's tone was firm. Her voice is the same as her appearance. Tang Xinju was numb to its deafening scream, and even the more furious the other party was, the calmer it became. She has confirmed one point, Xiao Hong can't come in through the bed tent. 2 nights in a row, it just lays out on the outside, it looks like it is close to the face, but it is actually separated by layers of gauze, and it never actually touches people. The bedroom door is a layer of protection, as is the bed tent. Even ghosts, in all likelihood, are subject to conditions. As long as they are not deceived and go out, the attacks they receive inside are limited, and more of them are spiritual pollution. Tang Xinju was at peace with the common sight in nightmares, and did not feel that she was polluted. After half a day, realizing that he was incompetent and furious, it calmed down and tried to induce Tang Xinju to speak. Tang Xinju remained motionless, as if falling asleep. Xiao Hong, ah! Go to hell! In another round of screaming, Tang Xinju suddenly took out her phone from the bed and looked down. Xiao Hong, you still have the heart to play with your phone. Put down the phone, Tang Xinju said coldly, 1 more minute. Xiao Hong subconsciously asked, what? Tang Xinju, there is 1 more minute, it will be 8 o'clock in the morning, dawn. The time displayed on the mobile phone is 7:35. According to the senses and time at night, the time flow rate at night should be 24 times. And Xiao Hong can only come and go at night, and will leave after dawn. This is the Dormitory Civilization Code test, you are also a member of the dormitory, and you will be subject to the same restrictions as us. Tang Xinju's voice was soft, by the way, your date tonight has been blown again. Xiao Hong. Kill ghosts? It finally straightened its noodle-like body, looking directly at this human for the first time, and its voice was cold and hoarse. Tomorrow is the deadline. If you can't get what I want tomorrow, you will all stay in the test and become the same thing as me. Hee hee, I'm waiting for you. The sound disappeared, the lights came on, Tang Xinju opened her eyes, and immediately checked the situation of Zheng Wangqing and Guo Guo. His face was ashen, and blood was oozing from the corners of his ears and mouth. Fine evening. Tang Xinju immediately opened the other party's mobile phone and saw the negative status, unbearable communication health 30 in the negative state, another pop-up, achievement, fallen prey. Neutral buff, short-term reaction 5 stamina plus 2 stamina maximum plus 1 buff effect, brief stun. Tang Xinju's hanging heartstrings relaxed slightly. If Wangqing was in a coma because of the buff, then the situation wasn't the worst. She opened her identity information and saw a new reminder, communication health out of bounds 2 achievement, angry NPC. Positive buff, short-term reaction plus 5 reaction maximum plus 2. Click the achievement again, and an explanation pops up on the screen, unexpectedly. If the NPC knows in advance that being yelled at by you will give you an achievement, it will never come to you. Tang Xinju. At this moment, Guo Guo screamed in horror, "My face! Help, my face!"